everybody, your pal HeyArcher. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell down below to get notified when all these new videos come out, especially all these rambling videos with my buddy and your pal, Anthony. Welcome back to the channel. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How you been with all this nuttiness?
Oddly okay, because I'm already kind of a homebody, so the only thing that's changed,
Same.
really pissing me off, is the lack of being able to go to the gym. That's really my issue.
Fair enough. Yeah. Suddenly being an introvert is paying off because I'm like, oh, this is fine. Like that meme. You ever seen the one where it's like a guy sitting surrounded by fire. And it's like has a cup of coffee. This is okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm good as long as coffee doesn't run out. I'm okay.
Well, that's my thing. Is I'm actually running low on my coffee, and I'm bougie now, and I get my coffee from Nespresso. So I need this to be over pretty soon.
Could I mention a coffee company on here you should try? I don't know. I don't want to get you in trouble for Black Rifle Coffee. I send you their videos. I don't know, man. I don't know how YouTube or any of this works. I don't want you to get in trouble or me. Black Rifle's pretty good, and they're only a subscription company, so can always order from them. Support veterans. Yay.
That's true. That's good. See, why you got to guilt me into this? You're making me choose between George Clooney and veterans.
Yeah, well, listen, the only part of Catholicism that stuck with me is the guilt, so I spread it around when I can.
That's fair. So there's almost been more news because of a lack of news, because of a lack of production on things. But something that we were going to talk about before that we didn't really get a chance to dive into was the potential of DC being sold. Because a lot of you may not know, DC Comics is actually owned by AT&T as like their parent company. So one of the things that we wanted to discuss was the craziness that would be the comic book world if DC sold to Marvel. So and actually that leads me into another thing we should talk about. So I guess my question to you is, what are your thoughts just initially on this entire thing that DC potentially could be under Marvel, and do you even think they would try to keep them separate or fuse it together?
It's crazy to think that because for all the joking, like, oh, haha, they should Marvel should, like, when for the movies, like, oh, Marvel should have just bought Warner Brothers out, and then they would have owned the film. They could have done the films and done them right, and blah blah blah. The comics never really entered into my mind because I'm so far removed, as I've said before on the show, from reading them. It doesn't, they kind of honestly just slipped my mind. And I'll be honest, when I saw all the 5G thing, I didn't know what it was referencing to. So I'm like, I didn't know AT&T owned DC Comics.
Right.
So I just see AT&T might kill DC Comics if the 5G event fails. I'm like, what does launching a cell phone service have to do with comic books? I didn't realize any of that. So once I read and caught up, it was like, oh, yeah, I kind of felt after I looked into it a little bit that DC was pretty much done for.
Yeah, but it's weird because it's like DC Comics as a whole isn't like full on terrible to the extent where you would even assume that they'd be sold like that. Like, I would imagine that DC would be sold it'd have to be similar to George Lucas selling Star Wars, where it's like the person's just done for. Like, did you know that DC was struggling like that, or is that was that
no, not really? Because like I said, I mean, not that I would have known this even when I was reading, or like I hadn't really been paying attention. And I mean, I figure I can understand it not doing well because whenever I do kind of dip back into it, it's always a reboot, or they're always altering the universe, or ever since Flashpoint, I think like the New 52 lasted, I don't know, 5 years. Don't hold me to that, but it like they undid 80 years of history, and the reboot to streamline everything only lasted a few years, and then they keep having these major events, and they weren't really that satisfactory, and everything else. So I mean, I can understand it. I can definitely understand it. I was surprised to actually hear it was that bad, for sure. So
yeah, it's nuts. That kind of, I guess, even just to advance in a second, So right now with the coronavirus thing that's going on, the pandemic, if you would, small businesses around the world, like businesses around the world in general, are struggling. And some of the major, if not all the major comic book manufacturers have shut down shipments. So I
Right.
actually watched a video the other day where the guy was saying, I think it was on the Quartering, and he was saying that most of these comic book stores, I should say, the stores are screwed because the only things now that are even like remotely new in production are going to be a lot of the stuff that isn't really popular. Like there was no big event that was about to happen that people were waiting for, that even when these comic book stores open again, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to get there because opening day, not only can I go to a comic book store again, but there's this new crossover or something. So
Yeah.
I guess the question I pose is, do you think before they even consider selling it, they should just shut down the comic department and just try to go straight digital? Or just, if they're going to sell it, just get rid of the whole thing?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I still love books and like in general, comic and regular. And when my shop that I used to go to all the time, actually back in December, I want to say, they had to close, and I hadn't been there in years, and that sucked. But I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to eventually go digital. Maybe it would have been. I think before, like, taking the pandemic out of it, I think it was already going that way, just because younger people. Like, I mean, I'm even guilty of it. We have the DC app. I was just bored at work and I didn't feel like studying anymore, and I just opened up my iPad and I started looking through old issues, or even some new issues that I hadn't read before. So I think it was definitely trending that way. I think it's kind of inevitable that it happens, and now I think it's like going to happen sooner than later, like within the year, probably. Like, probably go all digital for DC at least. I don't know how Marvel's doing, but Marvel has Disney money, so they don't have to worry about it.
So. And that's the other part too. It's like, who's the ones backing it or not. But the weird part is like I don't know the finer details of it all, but if I'm DC Comics, I'm like, all right, at least I know I got money coming in through at least the TV shows at the bare minimum, because the TV shows are holding major weight on CW. Even though the viewership is not what it used to be now that Arrow's gone. So if I was them, I would try to focus everything I got on that app for one, and either cartoons or live action. So do you think that even that would be able to save them? Or again, if you're AT&T, you're just going to cut your losses?
I mean, if you're AT&T, they'll probably just cut your losses. I mean, I always thought, like I said, I was shocked AT&T owned them. So I always thought it was Warner Brothers. So would Warner Brothers maybe swoop back in and buy them up? Who knows? I mean, I really don't think it's even if they cancel it, I don't think it's the end of, like, it's obviously not the end of Batman or anybody on film, but I don't think it's the end of I think they'll come back some way, somehow in the comic book medium. I don't think they're really going to go away. The only question would be who's going to buy it and how soon. Like, because like, I don't know if there would be any sort of legal things, like, how Marvel has to wait X amount of years before they get their characters back from Netflix.
Right.
If there would be some sort of weird stipulation in selling DC Comics itself, that'd be weird. But yeah, I mean, it might be the last we see them for a little while, but I don't think they're going to go away for good by a long shot. That's just me.
Do you think Marvel would try to just destroy them, or fuse them, or try to keep them as a separate entity?
I don't think they would try to destroy them, because again, if they buy them, then that would just be. I mean, it's a moneymaker, and Disney is all about making money. So if they can, increase their portfolio, they're going to do it.
Oh,
so I don't think they would try to.
Oh man, but we're gonna get Batman with fucking Mickey Mouse ears.
I mean, yeah, for a little while, yeah, and there will be those weird. You thought Batman and the Ninja Turtles was a weird crossover. Wait till Batman ends up in friggin' Tiny Toons land.
Wait.
What?
before we even, I don't even want to skip this. Wait, we're holding on to that for a second. Are you remotely like paying attention to the to Ninja Turtles and Power Ranger crossover?
No, I've seen it. I haven't looked into it at all. What's going on?
Oh, but you know what's happening.
Yeah, I saw some article on it, but I didn't go. Oh, not an article. I saw a picture on Instagram, but I didn't read anything about it.
So dope.
Oh, really?
And it's the cool thing about it is, so by coincidence, I happened to watch The Toys That Made Us on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that.
It's on my list to watch.
It took me a while. Like I remember I tried the first season when they had a Star Wars episode and I just couldn't get into it. And
really?
I ended up in the most recent season, they have a Ninja Turtle episode and a Power Ranger episode. And the Power Ranger guy, Saban, Han Saban, or Ham Saban. Yeah, the way we say it is not the way he pronounces it. Put it that way. But
yeah, no.
He's like a hardcore fan of Power Rangers because he understands the amount of money that's there if you treat them right. And I don't know whose call it was, but to be like, we're going to take this nostalgic thing and that nostalgic thing and put it together. Like, it's dope. It's amazing. Yeah. They need to make figures ASAP. And the reason I say that is because they actually released figures that were 2-packs of Batman and the Ninja Turtles when that movie came out.
Right.
So if you get a chance, check out, and all of you check out it. And support the damn stuff, because if you support these things, you don't have to worry about these issues. So
yes. So stop pirating.
Don't pirate it. If you think that Ninja Turtles versus Batman or Ninja Turtles versus Power Rangers is like dope, buy it legally, buy the merch, all that stuff. That's the only way that's going to keep this thing going. That needs to be a movie though, straight up.
I did see. I saw clips on the. I didn't pirate the movie. I saw clips on the internet of the Batman Ninja Turtle movie. That does look good. I want to watch that in its entirety. I've only seen clips because I thought like seeing it, I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be terrible. So I didn't. Usually I try to avoid stuff, but I'm like, how good can it possibly be? And then I saw like the Batman versus Shredder fight was the clip I saw, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm game.
That was the one
that got on the app. I don't think it's on the app.
No, that was one of the things that we were talking about, is like how they're dragging their feet to put like, and that's where DC screwed up, because I think if anything, maybe there's just too many hands in the pot, and there's all these companies that like have part ownerships of different parts of DC. But I mean, that's one of the best animated movies they've made in a long time, and it's not on the app, and it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
Huh.
It's on something. I think I just bought it. That's what it was. But yeah, if you guys get a chance, you need to check that out too. Buy it or whatever. Just don't pirate it. Whatever you do, just don't pirate it. We don't need that.
Yeah, don't pirate it. I used to have multiple. Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I used to. Well, I mean, now it's nice because everything's so abundant, and you could streamline it. You can share it with friends, if you're so inclined. But I was just thinking, it was funny. More than once, back in the day before technology was so abundant, I'd be out at school or work, and I'd come home like, oh hey, I just bought this movie that we wanted to see, and my brother would be like, yeah, I just got the same one. So you return one, but the point is, support it, don't steal it.
Especially now that the mouse is just buying everything. Like
they really are.
It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, and like, here's the. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like, if they. So I saw another video. Oh crap! The Screen Junkies trailer.
Yep.
Trailer videos for Rise of Skywalker, and they were like, yeah, maybe it's not such a good idea that Disney owns everything, and they were, kind of pointing out similarities between some of the stuff that they did and said in Star Wars versus Marvel and this and that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't care who owns it as long as they make good content. And the thing is, like you said, too many hands in the pot. Like, have everybody interested in it, but you need to have one guy who's in charge. Like, okay, Disney, I report to Disney. Marvel has Kevin Feige. Star Wars, hopefully they're setting up Jon Favreau. If they get DC, and I'm guessing it would just be DC Comics, right? Because Warner Brothers is still producing the movies, right? Like Batman and Superman and all them.
Right.
So that's that. So for now, if the mouse ends up owning DC Comics, whatever, and maybe their animation, maybe that can be, because Marvel was never good about getting into animation, and obviously Disney's very good about animation. So if they start churning out some good DC Comics and / animated comic movies, that could be a win for now. But point being, I don't care who owns it as long as quality comes out of it. You're gonna get my money, unfortunately, no matter what you do. Yeah. Even the movies that I've seen that I'm like Star Wars, I saw that 2-3 times, maybe 2 or 3 times. I can't even remember. You know what I mean? So you're getting my money no matter, even if it's not the best product in the world.
Right.
Just have a clear vision, and I'll be happy about giving you my money, or less angry.
I don't know how deep into that world you go, but there's that stupid saying of those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it or whatever. We've seen this happen in wrestling. Like the peak of wrestling as far as like a product, I don't care what anybody says, was when it was WCW, WWF, and ECW. Like when you had all three going at the same time, that was some of the best wrestling you could have. And part of the allure of it was like, it'd be so cool if Goldberg was able to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then RVD just runs out of nowhere and just like wrecks house. Like it was cool to like want that, but not be able to have it. And once WWF bought WCW and ECW, I think they bought ECW first, the product went to crap because it was like, now there's no need to try as hard and there's nobody checking you. You're just doing your own thing. That's my fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm with you on that. I was huge into wrestling when all that was going up, and I loved it. It was insane. But once competition is good. Joe Rogan says something about this. Like, I've been listening to a lot of his and other. I don't even listen to music anymore in the car when I drive in. I rotate between Joe Rogan, a couple other Black Rifle guys podcasts, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And Joe Rogan said a couple of weeks ago, or the one I heard a couple of weeks ago, he's just like, and it's true. Competition is good. Competition, makes you a better person. Even if you lose, as long as you have your little, maybe he didn't say this part, you have your little mourning period. Oh man, I suck. I lost, blah, blah, blah. You got to pick up and move from, learn from it and move on.
Yeah.
And once WWF, WWE, once they won, obviously, I'm not saying it was an immediate decline, but it started trailing off, and with it, I started losing interest. And what are you going to do? But
no, it's insane. So,
have you watched the new wrestling company, AEW?
I have not. So
I haven't.
I was watching my buddy Lenny, who was on one of the episodes. He got me into their YouTube channel, because they do like this. They almost do like a YouTube vlog, but they're still in character, like in going into the matches. So I was like into it.
Cool.
I was into it for like a month. It's called Being Elite. So if you guys get a chance, check that out. It's a really cool channel. I was into it for like a month or so, and then I was like, all right, I still don't have that love of wrestling I used to. So I think it's cool what they're doing. I think when they were doing that all access or all in, like that was super dope, because they got wrestlers from all different organizations to come together to wrestle at one big event. So I thought that was super cool. I don't know how they're doing now as far as a weekly circuit, but they got a lot of push. I mean, the biggest thing they got now was Matt Hardy from the Hardy Boys. He just went over there, and that was a huge signing for them. So I watch it from afar, but I know that they're making big waves, and a lot of people find that way more interesting than WWE.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't had time to dip into too much recreational TV or reading.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my friends, he's still pretty big into it, and he's raving about it. And I keep seeing their promos whenever I do watch TV or have it on in the background. I keep hearing their promos, so it seems pretty good. And again, they don't have to try to put WWF out of business. WWF doesn't have to try to put them out of business. They can coexist and just make each other better.
Yeah, No, and that's
rambling and
but that's the
philosophical
thing is like,
meanderings.
but they even said like they were like, we're not going to try to beat out the WWF. Like the only reason that brand exists is because those were the rejects from WWF, which is the better part of that story. So, you know,
exactly.
I think that'd be cool if DC somehow, if people bought out like Batman and like a couple of the characters and like, all right, you take the rest, we're gone, we're gonna do our own thing.
That'd be
I think
crazy.
we need like
Batman.
we need like a Todd McFarlane to fucking buy out DC. That's what we need.
Is Todd McFarlane making that kind of money?
I hope he's got it saved somewhere. He's doing that Spawn movie. Do you see that?
I heard about that. Is it moving? I didn't know it was moving. Did it move past him saying, yeah, we're going to do it? Are they like well, I mean, not now, but were they in pre-production or anything?
So
Any idea?
I think that movie, I think where he's struggling, and he said it a couple times, is that he's not finding the right way to portray what he's trying to do. Like he actually wants it to be like complete opposite of what that original movie was. And he wants it to be like a horror movie where you don't really see Spawn. Like Spawn it's like in the comic, like Spawn's in the shadows, you see the eyes, that kind of thing. And I think he's struggling to get that portrayed on the movie. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've watched an interview with him. But that's where I believe he had left off.
Yeah, if he's trying to do that, I mean, it would be definitely cool to see, but it would definitely be very hard to sell to a big studio. And then, of course, you don't need a big studio necessarily. However, if you don't have a big studio, then production quality could go down.
Yeah.
Although not really, because there are guys on YouTube who do it, and they do it themselves, or they fund it, and it looks amazing. So, but with something like Spawn, that might be harder. You need a lot more impractical effects with Spawn just for the cape alone.
Well, it's funny because I feel like now the way the comic book world goes, it could easily start morphing into the music industry type formula where you've got all these rappers now who just do it on their own. Like even us doing this content, like 20 years ago, in order to release content globally, you needed some sort of like deal and sign and work with some other company or some production company. But now like we just do this on our own. So I think that, eventually, especially if they do animated, like I think Spawn, actually just going back to that, I think Spawn shouldn't be a live action. I think to really get it portrayed the way you want it to, I think that has to be animated until having a heavily loaded CG movie becomes cheap. Like if that becomes cheaper to make, then maybe, but to have Spawn the way it's supposed to be, like I think animated is going to be the way to go for sure.
Fair enough. And I mean, in a way, you can make the same argument about Batman or any of them really, as long as it looks good and the quality is there, it's a lot easier and a lot more believable for them to draw these guys doing all these things and whatnot. And I mean, as we've talked about before, the animated movies, there's nothing wrong with them except for that they don't give them the push of a live action movie.
Right.
So a lot of this, I mean, the DC, if they were doing just animated movies, like we'd said before, DC, even though it's not that great at times and apparently ending, DC's animated universe totally outweighs the Marvel's animated universe in terms of films and continuity. Marvel has hits with Spider-Man and, versions of their Avengers, but they don't have, as far as I'm remembering, they don't have the win streak in that department that DC or DC, Warner Brothers, as those guys have.
No, I mean, the only good Marvel, so Marvel succeeds when it comes to animated of course, and again, this is the best work is done when the back's against the ropes. So, of course, the X-Men animated series, Spider-Man animated series, those are legendary. They did well with, Wolverine and the X-Men. They did well with, there was another Spider-Man cartoon that came out that was pretty decent. But everything else, for the most part, the movies are absolute trash. So they have that potential there, but again, toys don't sell, so they don't continue. But yeah, DC, as far as making an animated movie, like DC has by far the best track record. for that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, speaking of, I guess making dope characters and whatnot, there's I don't even know how to like even phrase it anymore. Put it this way. My friend said that when I sent him the picture of these characters, he thought I was like joking. And then when the YouTube video came out, he thought it was still a joke. He was like, you just kind of made that up. But Marvel now is going to be pushing the New Warriors with our good friends, Snowflake and Safespace and all that jazz. So I'm curious. One, do you think when comic book stores eventually open up, the sales of New Warriors will bring people into the comic book stores? And two, what are your thoughts on this overall in general?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, the New Warriors, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not remembering them being the huge draw. Like, I don't remember people being like, oh man, New Warriors, blah, 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 is back ordered. That sucks. So I don't think they're going to be getting people to the stores for that. Maybe for an initial, like, no way, did they really put it out with those guys, those characters, those names? But yeah, I don't think, hopefully when, not if, but hopefully when comic book stores reopen, they, I don't think they're going to be beating down the doors for that one. But I don't, like I said before, I don't know too much about it because a friend of mine at work showed me that as kind of a joke. And well, not as a joke. He's like, oh, can you believe this? And I thought it was a joke. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, wow. And beyond the names that you mentioned, I have no idea what's going on.
I wish there was I just can't think of the name of the series that I was reading. I was pretty sure it was New Mutants. That it came out a long time ago, and they were going to be like the young X-Men, if you would. And I thought that's what this was supposed to be, and I don't think it's that. To me, this was the Hail Mary. Like my take on it was, Marvel decided we need more diversity in comic books, which everybody wants, and I keep saying from the top of the mountains that I want it too, and we need it in comic books, that's for sure. But they'll do things like this, and I feel like it's a Hail Mary, where they're like, we're just going to go for straight shock value. We're going to go for clicks. We're going to go for headlines, because at the end of the day, it'll bring eyes to Marvel Comics. Do you think that's potentially true, or do you think this was like a serious thing?
I mean, the names alone make me say it's not a serious thing, just because, again, I mean, I'm not the most right person in the world, but, you know, I think Snowflake and all this other stuff, it's a derivative name. And, you know, I guess there's something to be said for, oh, well, you know, we want to change the narrative of how that word or how that name is used, but I don't think Marvel Comics is the one to do it. I think they're just doing it to get a couple of bucks, get people interested, but ultimately, I don't know what the hell they're thinking of with that.
The point that I made in my last video was, I feel like DC now, they've had a couple hiccups where people are like, all right, chill out. But I think what I liked about DC over the years was they did it so discreetly, you didn't even know they were doing it. So like I used the examples of, you know, Masi Menos from Teen Titans, Cyborg. Mm-hmm. But then my number one has always been the fact that they had an interracial relationship and nobody really even noticed when they had Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl. So it's one of those where, yeah, like even as a kid, like you were seeing it, it was groundbreaking, but yet you had no idea you were seeing it, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just had a, oh yeah, wow, moment. I mean, technically they were doing it before that because Nightwing and Starfire, I'm not trying to make fun of it, but I'm saying like technically they did it in what, the 70s or the 80s with them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, they do, I guess, if you want to call that, they do have a history of doing it. Yeah. No, I mean, just looking at that, like I said, I just saw that article last night, actually, or I think what the one Marvel's doing. My eyes rolled, you know? It was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, no, I think it's just, I don't know. I can't say it doesn't sound like a good attempt, because if it was, you'd make it, you wouldn't give them those names. And actually now that we're talking about it, DC even did it, like, again, I'm not in it too much, but they have Thomas in Batman. I think his last name is Thomas. He's the Signal. He wears the yellow suit in Batman. No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
so I'm saying they're
not.
diversifying that too, and everything else. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, no, those
in recent years, yeah, they've had their offenses in recent years, but it's I was one of the things I'm like, at least before all this, they were kind of like it felt like before they were just doing it naturally, like we're just gonna it makes sense that there'd be a different race Green Lantern or whatever, But it's I don't know.
No, I don't like that. I mean, it doesn't seem. Again, I didn't read too much into it, but just again, and I know I've said it like 4 times already. Just the names make me think you guys aren't really taking this seriously, because, no, sorry, that's all I got on that. It seems ridiculous. You anything else under the sun you could have done or called them, but you're using words that, and doesn't Safespace piss off? Like, I know it pisses off conservatives, but doesn't it piss off people who want them too, kind of? Like, because like, oh, you're making fun of me needing a safe space, or I don't know, maybe I'm making it up.
Well, that was the crazy part. When I was looking it up for whatever episode I was on, the Mary Sue pulled up, and the Mary Sue, I mean, that's as like, if you look up extreme leftism, like that should be that website. Like even they were like, this is kind of too on the nose. Like it. Even they didn't like it, which is crazy.
Oh, so there you go then. Yeah. I don't know. But again, they can cry into all the fat checks they're going to be getting from, Marvel. If and when the New Warriors doesn't take off, Marvel can dry their tears on the money they make from all their other characters. So they'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Real quick, else? What do you think about? So before all this, the last thing I had read was if the 5G event, and I looked into that. Did you look into what the DC's 5G was supposed to be? No. So I've been going through the app, reading the comics online, trying to figure out what the hell's going on a little bit here and there. So I guess Wally West, by the way, I guess spoilers coming up for everybody, and possibly inaccurate because I've just been skimming. Sorry. But from what I pieced together, Wally West went on like kind of an interdimensional cosmic adventure that ended with him sitting in the Mobius chair. And also they brought the Watchmen into the DC universe.
Did they finish that?
I don't know if they finished it, but they brought it in. They must have finished it because they used Dr. Manhattan when Wally sits on the chair, again, spoilers, he, I guess, somehow absorbs I think they kill off Dr. Manhattan. I don't know 100% everything that happens. I'm sorry to be bringing it up without all the details, but basically Wally sits on the chair. He becomes all like Mobius chair godlike, and the Dr. Manhattan atomic symbol is on his forehead. So, and I think so he's absorbed Dr. Manhattan's power. He's got the chair, and the being that was like leading him on this adventure, like you see Wally like absorbing in, like processing all these alternate realities and timelines and this and that and these and those. And the guy's like, can you fix it? Can you do this? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I'm the Flash. I'm this, I'm that. I got this. So I think the 5G event, what I've read about the 5G event is they're going to basically say, okay, DC Comics now happens in real time. So they're going to say it started, maybe not in the 30s. Maybe they'll push it to the 50s or the 60s. But Bruce Wayne will have been Batman for, I don't know, 20 years. Again, I'm just making that one up. But he'll have been Batman for a while. And then that's the first generation. Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, Diana Prince. They're your first generation of heroes. Then 2G, I guess would be Nightwing taking over, whatever. Blah, 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 all the way to 5G, which is supposed to be today, which is going to have like, I read a solicit someplace. It's like, and this is how the solicit wrote it or something. It was like, Batman's going to be black. So I think it's going to be Duke Thomas. They were saying the current Wonder Girl, Cassie something, is going to be Wonder Woman now. and they're like, she's gonna, and actually kind of DC doing the same thing that Marvel is doing. They built her as a plus size Wonder Woman, and I don't know who's going to be Superman. If Superman is going to just be Clark Kent because they'll say he doesn't age, or I don't know how they're going to handle him. But so that's, from what I've read briefly on the internet, that's what the 5G thing is going to be. And when I read that, I was just like, I thought that was for sure going to be the nail in DC's coffin, because people, and I'm one of them. People only like their heroes change for so long. Like I actually liked when Dick Grayson took over as Batman and all they did in Batman Incorporated before that DC universe ended. But I mean, on the whole, I don't know if you'll agree or not, but people only can handle the changes in these guys for so long. You know, Wolverine eventually has to come back to, or Logan eventually has to come back to be Wolverine. You know, Batman, Bruce Wayne has to come back to be Batman. I guess eventually they want Hal Jordan and Barry Allen back in the suits of their respective guys. So,
right.
But yeah, based on that really haphazard and quick, would you agree with me that do you think that would be like amazing and I'm completely wrong and this is going to take DC to new heights, or is this going to be the last nail for a while, or the final nail for a while in their printing coffin?
I don't think you can have, I mean, I don't know the pressures of writing comics. You know, I don't think you can, I think I'm with you. Like you can have the Mantle passing, right? Like I'm generally fine with Mantle passing, but you still need to have your story of, so we're going to be in a multiverse thing again, or a time travel thing again, where it's like, you still need Bruce Wayne to be Batman. Like I don't think you're ever going to get somebody to just change their mind. Like, you know what, I'm good going forward that Batman's Damian Wayne for like movies.
Yeah.
Like he's Bruce Wayne. Like that's the story. I don't know. I don't think it's a nail in the coffin. I just think they're doing the same things they've done before, and it's just going to continue to just fire every time.
Well, I just mean a nail in the coffin because, I mean, they can, of course, recover from it story-wise because they'll just have another cosmic event and reset everything. But I mean, like, in terms of AT&T saying if the 5G event, if that thing I just described, if that's not successful, then they're going to kill DC Comics. So I'm saying just, like, listening to that, I think that event is going to be it because, again, they're going to have to reset it eventually. I'm with you. I don't mind Mantle passing. Like, I grew up with Wally West as my Flash and Kyle Rayner was my Green Lantern. And when they put Barry and Hal back, I was a little bit pissed off because like, okay, they're cool, but these guys, they're like erased everything that the other characters did in the role. Yeah. But this sounds interesting actually, but I just mean like if AT&T is saying, okay, 5G, the event 5G, it's make or break. If this doesn't do well, you guys are out. I think that's it. I think they're out after this.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with it. I go with it.
Yeah. Or we can pick it up on another one.
No, it's because there's no way. I don't think there's any way that, I mean, because I think it's doomed from the start. I think it's one of those where the viewership, the readership is so low already that it's just doomed and they're going to get sold.
Yeah.
Well, RIP DC Comics.
Basically.
Yeah. Any other things you want to hit on real quick or any plugs you want to make?
No, I'm good. Nice little quick one to catch up. Haven't really talked to you since this whole isolate or quarantine in place has taken effect. So good to chat.
Yes. I like the shirt too. You guys can't see it, but he's wearing a Welcome to the Dark Side shirt.
No, so actually, I'll tell you what I think is a funny story about this shirt. It says, "Come to the dark side, we have cookies."
Yeah.
I got it like 3 years ago around the time of my birthday, and I had no idea who sent it. It just came like from whatever company they bought it off of. There was no like gift note in the box or anything like that. Yeah. I'm asking our mutual friends, like, did you guys send me this for my birthday or anything? Nothing's driving me insane. I have no idea who sent me this shirt. And then about a month goes by. I've completely forgotten about this shirt. It's just made its way into the rotation. Yeah. And a buddy of mine from the Army, he sends me a message. He's like, we talk sporadically. He's like, what, were you raised by wolves or something? And I'm like, what did I do now? He goes, didn't really hear from you after we sent you that, your gift or something. It would have been nice to just say, hey, thanks. Hey, how you doing? Stuff like that. I go, what gift? He's like, the shirt. And then it was just like, first of all, I was so relieved to finally know who the hell sent me this thing. And then he's older than us. I had to explain to him, like, but you didn't put anything in the cart. And he's like, I only talking to him on the phone, but I feel like I saw like the realization in the old man's on the old man's face, like, oh, that's not how technology works. They don't just like tell you who gave it to you or anything like that. You have to tell them to tell you. So he's like, oh, okay, well. So anyway, not as good a story now that I hear it again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I like that story.
Edit that out.
That's such an old person thing for an old person to do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, ramblings are some of my favorite videos to make because that's what we both do, and I think we do it well. But
yeah,
all of you watching at home, and for those of you listening on the podcast, thanks for being here. Leave positive reviews if you're listening on the podcast. But if you're here on YouTube, of course, you want to leave a thumbs up and subscribe down below so you can keep up with all of our new videos coming out, all the new ramblings. There's a full playlist of all the rambling videos. And of course, if you want to make your own content, down in the description box, I have links for all the gear that I use to make all these wonderful videos. So then hopefully when you want to make your own ramblings, make your own podcast, I can follow you and check out your stuff. So thanks, Anthony, for being here. Thanks, all of you, for being here. Let us know in the comment section what you think about everything we've talked about. Are you looking for a safe space or maybe even a snowflake to protect you? And of course, we will see you nerds in the next video. Peace.